separately in love, and God forgives.
On this episode of Simply Necessary Conversations.
So for our trending topic today, I wanted to talk about this headline that I saw of Sheryl Lee Ralph. She has been married for 20 years. I believe her husband is a senator, I'm pretty sure. And they live separately. And they have never, according to the internet, lived together. So for 20 years, they've been happily married. She talked about him in an interview very glowingly, but I don't think they even live in the same state. So what do you think about that? Do you think that that probably is why they lasted 20 years? Or do you think that it's somewhat dysfunctional or very unorthodox to live that far away from your significant other?
I know I would not want to do it. If it works for them, great. I don't know her or him, obviously.
Yeah.
But I would not want to do it. I just think that is more like dating than being married. Like that's a long-term, obviously a long-term relationship and obviously a relationship that has worked for them. But I don't think that I would consider that for marriage for myself because, like that's too much. Not enough, I should say.
How can you connect with your partner on the level that you need to connect with your partner when you're married, living in two separate living? Like, I feel like a married couple shouldn't even like have separate bedrooms. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about separate houses.
You're talking about separate houses, separate states, separate coasts.
I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere where it said that I think they live in separate coasts.
Okay, and so no, because what happens when he or she needs comforting and they're not together? I can't speak for those people because I don't know those people, but based on the males that I've encountered in my life, he is not going to wait until he can find Sheryl if he feels like he has the urge to merge or has a certain need. Like, he's not going to wait for her.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm too old-fashioned, too traditional, too naive. I have been called all those things and I don't care. If you can be that far away from that person for that amount of time, then I feel like they're not as important to you as maybe I would like to be to my significant other.
I just feel like I don't even like living an hour away from my significant other. Like, there's times where you just want to cuddle, you just want to hug, you just want to talk in real life, and you don't want to FaceTime or you don't want a phone call. So I don't think I could live how they have been living. Mm-mm. I don't think it makes sense. Maybe it has something to do with their age. They're a little bit older. Yeah. They've done the lovey-dovey. They probably had that type of relationship.
I'm going to say no to that because me and her probably are close in age or like in the same age category. And no, like if I could date you, we could be, friends. We could have a relationship or whatever. But to be my husband, if you're not there on a daily basis, and especially if you're going to be consistently away from me, then we can't be husband and wife. Not like that.
Because I feel like you're gonna have some like confidant friend that's like my replacement person if I'm not there. I feel like it leaves too much to happen.
Yeah.
I feel like you shouldn't have to feel scared that your partner's going to cheat on you or leave you or do something when they're outside of your presence, but also don't make it easy for that to happen.
There's going to be people that say, oh, well, you have trust issues and maybe she doesn't, da-da-da-da. No, I got reality checks. Like, I live in the real world and I live with reality, and men that see their wives on a daily basis are not faithful to their wives. Men that are, have less means are not faithful to their significant others. So you're talking about people that have, decent finances. Mm-hmm. She's attractive, so I'm assuming he's attractive too. Living separately from each other.
Cute couple.
Yeah, like, and if it works for them, great. I would not want to do it. Like, no.
I mean, some people have arrangements that are a little bit unorthodox, different than what I would want. But I feel like it's a little, I don't want to say it's crazy because that's their personal relationship. But for me, I would feel crazy to say that my husband does not live in the same house as me or live in the same state as me or live on the same coast as me.
Yeah, like,
it's just doing a whole lot.
It's a lot. It takes a lot of trust, and or maybe we're assuming that they are wanting what we would want in relationships. Maybe they are cool with, okay, the husband and wife thing is because we want to always be somehow associated, connected with each other, but what we do when we're not together is fine. Like to me, that's the only way that type of relationship is going to work is if you say, okay, we're always going to, somebody once said to me, it don't matter where you build your appetite as long as you eat at home. They might have that kind of situation. Like I'm not that person. I'm the type of person where you need to be, you need to be present, and I need someone that I can, who gonna go outside if I hear a noise? Like who gonna do the things? Like I know. So I could date somebody long distance, but at the point that you want me to be monogamous with you and it's just me and you and that's what we're going to say we're doing, you need to be where I can reach out and touch you.
Yeah.
If I need to reach out and touch you.
I find it hard to not believe, but I find it hard to grasp that you can be in love with someone and want to live so far away from them. Because we're not talking about the same state. We're like, okay, like you have work in one city and I have work in another city, and we're seeing each other multiple times a week. That even would be a lot for me once I get married. Like that's the dating. I feel like that's the dating stage of a relationship, and then once you're married or you're engaged and you moved in, like things evolve and change. But
in the event of a catastrophic event, we're in two different places. Like now you gotta try to, go travel cross country to get to me to help me out. Like, no, like what? And that also brings up just the day-to-day thing. I'm having to do all the heavy lifting. I'm having to do all the things for myself. And he may, they may share finances. They might have separate finances. But like if I'm financing my situation and you financing yours, like where's the marriage part? Other than evidently they have some type of affection for each other where they want to be husband and wife. But then all of the things that people consider traditional when you have a husband or wife, they're not able to do.
I would feel like I was robbed of my happily ever after white picket fence.
Yeah, like no, if I like you like that, I need to see you.
Exactly. Like
I need to see you.
My mind, I can't fathom it. Maybe people have different ways of living that I'm just not privy to.
I always think that women that are okay with their husbands being gone just like really don't like him like that. Like if you okay with not seeing him.
I feel like maybe I'm just a super clingy person, but I'm not okay with that. I need to see you. Like what are we doing here?
I mean, it evidently is working for them. They've made it work for 20 years, but I couldn't do it.
But like I said, is it working for 20 years because they're not with each other?
Well, that's not my business.
Because I feel like, not to say that every marriage that lasts several decades is because you're not with the person, but I feel like maybe they lasted 20 years in this specific instance because they don't have any of the things that would cause someone to get a divorce interfere with their relationship. They probably don't have the same bills. They don't have to cohabitate. You don't have to be aggravated by him leaving his stuff in the bathroom floor. You don't have to complain about, he wants to go out with the boys. You're not in the same state. You don't know what he's doing.
He could tell you he was in the bed and as soon as he hangs up or whatever, he's out the door. So but it works for them. So I'm not gonna mind their business, but it could not be my business. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. Yeah. Well, moving on to Let Me Put Y'all On. I saw this TikTok and I thought this, I don't know if ideology is the right word, but I thought this take on something that has been talked about to death was very interesting. And once again, it's somebody talking about 50-50 relationships, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. But I felt like this take was really interesting. And I'll kind of read some of what they said and then explain what I think they meant by it. They said that 50-50 relationship conversation really shows the divide between pro-capitalist and class consciousness. Men are looking for the same type of control parents have that constantly remind you they keep a roof over your head and clothes on your back. The ladies are looking for that carefree lifestyle they had as a child with a sprinkle of Disney princess, often causing them to end up submitting to patriarchy. Your problem isn't who is paying the bill, it is with capitalism, but a lot of you are too selfish to care about the working class. So I feel like basically what that person is saying is that men who enjoy taking care of women, I will say some men, because obviously this is not all men. Nope. Some men want the controlling aspect of that. That's where they see the benefit. And some women that want to be fully taken care of, or at least partially taken care of, however you look at it, they want the Disney princess, childlike freedom that you would typically get in your youth when you're a kid and you don't have any responsibilities. And then they also touch on larger concepts of like how the 50-50 conversation kind of reinforces capitalism and like how all of that works. But I wanted to hear your thoughts. Do you think that people that want to take care of somebody want to control them? And do you think people that want to be taken care of want to have like that childlike freedom.
So I'm curious, is the person that said that male or female?
I think it was a guy, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, because I interpreted that two ways depending on the gender of who said it. So if a guy said it, I'm feeling like that's a guy that is trying to find an excuse not to do like to not take care of women and so he's rationalizing that based
why
on
50-50
whatever his situation is, he's rationalizing based on that. If it's a woman, it's a whole, it's the exact opposite rationalization. But with that said, I don't subscribe to the 50-50 thing in that I feel like it depends. If a man wants to be, quote unquote, the traditional head of the household, then I don't think 50-50 should even come into play. Because how you going to be the head of anything that we're doing equal, like bringing equal finances to? Like if I'm taking care of myself and you're taking care of you, and we're literally doing the 50-50 thing, then we're the head of the household. There is no head of the household because we're both doing equal things in the household. Why would you ever be in the head of the household if I'm having to support 50% of the household? That's the first thing. But I don't think that a man wanting to be the head of the household and doing more than 50-50 automatically means he wants to control somebody. It could very well, if he's a God-fearing, good man, that he just wants to take care of his family as he was directed to do according to the Christian teachings, and just because he's a good person. Like, I love you. I want life to be as comfortable for you as I can make it, so I'm going to do these things. On the flip side, I don't think a woman that enjoys being taken care of a man is automatically just wanting the Disney princess lifestyle. If he has asked her, if they've agreed and he's asked her to bear children, for example, somebody has to be the primary caregiver. And if the woman is being the primary caregiver, that's a reason right there for him to do more financially, because she's going to have to do more emotionally in a certain kind of way, at least for a certain number of years. So, like, I don't think the 50-50 lifestyle or the not 50-50, it's different in every household depending on what the people living in the household want. Like, I
prefer the take of it's not 50-50. The term 50-50 is just a buzzword.
Yeah.
I feel like it's whatever is needed at the moment.
And I've said, forget 50-50. Everybody has to do 100-100. 100% of whatever you can do, 100% of whatever I can do, and we bring that together and make it work. Like, there is no 50-50.
I feel like, okay, your husband wants to take care of you, but then your husband loses his job. Now you want to be homeless because he lost his job? Yeah. Like, we have to use our brains and think logically. And I also think that as women, our aspiration should not be to be a stay-at-home mom or a house like that. I think that aspiration is kind of ridiculous.
Because the traditional women are going to have a fit when you say that. I don't think that's an aspiration. That's a chosen lifestyle. It's not something that you aspire to. There are some women
that aspire to not work.
I hope that they're aspiring to, if that's what they're trying to do, is either because, okay, I want to be hands-on with my kids, or like...
No, there are women that aspire to just be a housewife. It has nothing to do with... Because there are housewives that still don't take good care of their kids.
I guess.
So I think there are some women that their sole goal is, I want a man with money so I don't have to work. Which to me as someone that made sure that I was in a position to have a good job, to have a career, to have an education... I don't want to give that up because I'm in a relationship.
I'm not going to judge a woman that says, I want to be a housewife because I don't want to have to work. Because, like, being honest, I don't want to have to work. But I would not set out with that mindset, let me go find a man to take care of me. Like, that's two different things. I don't want to have to work. And at any point in time that I don't have to work, I will never work again. Don't get me wrong. But to be willing to be in a situation with a man solely, so that's what I'm trying to say. To do it solely so you don't have to work. That's the problem. If it happens
organically, then that's like for you, it happened organically.
Well, actually, it didn't. It happened when your other parent said, and we had a discussion, we think that you would be better off if I was home with you full time.
You were planning on having a job.
Yeah. I had a job.
You had a job. You were planning on having a job.
And I was planning on going back to my job.
You never expected for the amount of time that you were a stay-at-home mom.
Exactly. Yeah, like that was not a part of the original plan. We both decided that we cared enough about you, and for your best interest, I would be the best caretaker for you and educator for you.
And to a certain extent, I do feel like if you are the type of woman to just sit home and let your man take care of you, you lose some of your independence. 100%.
You absolutely do, because
100%.
Because caution, I'm gonna tell based on my personal experience. I agreed with my significant other at the time that I would stay home and be the primary caregiver. And as time went on, we saw how well you were progressing or whatever. We agreed, mutually agreed that I would stay home with you until you started college. It ended up being that was not the plan, but that's what happened. But I lost all those.
It was high school.
Well, it was supposed to be high school, but you started college instead of high school at the same time. It just worked out that way. But anyway, I lost a lot of time in the job market, and when it was time for me to get back in now, because I had an experience in education, I was, because they need educators all the time, so I was able to get right back in. But even going back to the same job that I had, there was so much new technology, so many new apps and programs, whatever stuff. I lost a lot of time in the job market that has cost me in a certain kind of way. Had I still had that time in the job market, I think I would have been in a much better financial position. There would have been things that I would have been much more prepared to be able to do. So I don't regret it, because exactly what we initially set out to do was to make sure that you were able to get a lucrative job and live a healthy, well-maintained lifestyle. It worked. But at the same time, it kind of hurt me in that, like, now I'm feeling like I'm somewhat behind in a certain kind of way. So be careful what you wish for.
I think that's what that person was saying when they said that basically that women that want to be taken care of feed into patriarchy, because you do, essentially.
Yeah, you do.
You lose your independence. You lose the ability.
I didn't. Some women, because they're not working, he would now become the shot caller.
Well, no, but in a certain way, I feel like you did lose your independence in terms of having an adult life outside of being a mom.
That absolutely
and
did
having
happen.
a life outside of being a wife and outside of our house.
Yeah, because for a long time, I did not watch anything on TV that was not child friendly. I did not go out and hang out with friends. Like, I didn't have girls' nights or days or anything out, because I don't regret it, because people are crazy, and I didn't trust leaving you with anybody. And at the time, my mom was still working. It's not like I could drop you off at grandma, whatever. She was still working for a good amount of the time that was going on. But I lost me for a long time, And then when I went back into the work world and started to get friends, and it was even, I think, kind of odd to you that, okay, there's other stuff that you talk about and people that you talk about.
It wasn't really odd to me, because at the same time, I was getting my own life. So I didn't really care.
You didn't like me having a work daughter for a minute when I started working with a young person. Like,
you don't have a work daughter.
You didn't, as you named her, because she was not that to me, but you were like, I get sick of you talking about your work daughter. And it was funny. It was funny. Yeah, you kind of started to refer to
I said
her
you don't have a work daughter, nor do you have children when you talk about your
my
students.
kids, yeah.
Anyway, we're going off on something that doesn't even
that's
exist.
all a part of it, is that I didn't have any of that.
But the point at hand is that while I think it's great if your man can just completely take care of you, I feel like that
if you can trust him to do that.
That is the goal of most husbands, is to be able to take care of their wives and their kids, like, obviously. But I also feel like, at least in this stage in my life now, where I've tried to make sure that I have all of the tools that I need to be successful independently, I don't want that to just poof, gone. Like, I don't want that to just evaporate because someone's taking care of me. Like,
you need to have some skills. You need to always be employable.
And being someone that works while you're in a marriage, that I don't think that it should be something that's like, oh, your husband's not doing his job. Like, no, he can still pay all the bills. Yeah. And now my money is the play money.
Yeah.
My money is the excess money. My money is our savings, so that way when we retire, we have more money than we would have before. Like,
there's nothing better than being in a dink relationship. For those of you that don't know, double income, no kids. Like, there's nothing better than being a dink, because if you got that double income and you are financially savvy enough to make sure that you have a bill payment structure where there's extra money, where one of those checks or the majority of one of those checks can be banked, there is nothing better than that, because even if you are middle class, upper middle class, you can live a lifestyle much better than someone that is trying to pay and do everything on their own. So if you got somebody you can trust, somebody that you can build with, I say, like, yeah, that's the way to go. And then if somebody earns enough that one of you doesn't have to work, the other person that's not working, I always say, I hate the term stay-at-home mom. You need to be a work-from-home mom. You're either working with your kids or you're working on making the money that he's bringing home do what it do, as Jamie Foxx said. Make it do what it do.
Yeah, just like Tabitha Brown ended up retiring her husband.
Yeah.
Like he worked to help her fund her what seemed to be unrealistic dreams, and now she's, one of the biggest celebrities out, and she was able to retire him. So
as my dad likes to say, an even swap ain't no swindle. As long as both of you are working towards making your lives better as a couple, whatever you need to do. Whatever you need to do.
So moving on to what had happened was, I saw the head. I didn't even read the story because I just thought the topic in general was very interesting. This OnlyFans model, I'm not going to name her because we don't like to pick on people. Mm-hmm. This OnlyFans model, she's only 20, so she's younger than me. Mm-hmm. She made $43 million last year. Congrats to her on that.
I know that's right.
Because, OnlyFans is a very lucrative industry. Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming that she does the OnlyFans that most people go to OnlyFans to consume, if you know what I'm saying.
We have to assume that.
And she says to her, it doesn't conflict with her Christian values, and that the Lord is very forgiving. Exactly.
So, no, ma'am. Let me just say that I am a Christian person. I was raised as a Christian person, saved by faith through grace. But you can't preemptively plan your sin and then say, but the Lord is forgiving. The Lord forgives when you sin accidentally, unintentionally, or periodically. If you are setting up the camera and mapping out your plan for your sin, baby, that ain't how it works.
$43 million
that ain't how it works. Now, there is some pastor somewhere that'll take that tithe off of that $43 million and tell you that you are forgiven, but baby, that ain't how it works.
I just think that I believe that everyone should be able to live their life the way that they choose to live their life, do whatever y'all want to do, but I really need y'all to stop invoking God's name.
That's what I'm talking about.
Unnecessarily. Because you could have said you made $43 million as an OnlyFans model. What does your Christian values have to do with that?
Leave that alone. Now, not to say she can't be a Christian.
No,
she can very much be a Christian just as much as
I'm not saying that.
But don't put out front that I know I'm doing something that might be questionable as a Christian, but it's okay because God is going to forgive me.
I'm not saying that OnlyFans models cannot be Christians. A prostitute, a stripper, whatever outlandish career path people like to judge, whatever you like to do. They can all be Christians because I cannot tell someone what's in their heart or what faith to believe or like, right. No,
we're
that's not
the
up to me.
Of that. Yeah.
But I can say that based on my Bible, I don't think that being an OnlyFans model falls into the realm of sanctified activities.
Well, it is forgivable, but it's forgivable in the sense that
like you
felt convicted, and now you're not going. But to say
you're actively doing
it. Here's where I got a problem with her. You by saying what you said, you're acknowledging that you think you're doing something wrong. You're acknowledging that you think you're doing something anti-Christian, but then following it up with, but God will forgive me. If you was gonna do it, baby, just do it. Don't say anything, and then pray and ask God to direct you to
privacy.
Yeah, like whatever he would have you do.
I feel like. And this doesn't even just go towards people doing things that are like, quote unquote, like obvious sins or whatever.
Yeah, because the person that's taking them pens and papers home from the office, they sinning too.
I feel like a lot of people use Christianity and a lot of people use God as a mask to Band-Aid whatever they want to Band-Aid. Like, if you're not good at something, we don't have to talk, like, you're just not good at it, baby. Like, that doesn't have anything to do with God. Or, like, I feel like sometimes when people don't get the things that they want or they don't accomplish the things that they want, it's just like, God's testing me and I'll come back. And it's just like, no, sometimes it's just not for you. Yeah. We don't have to, I mean, not to say that we don't have to bring God into everything because God isn't everything, but we don't have to constantly talk about.
Yeah, like
we don't have to use that as an excuse. We don't have to use God as a scapegoat to just do whatever we want to do or rationalize things that are just irrational. That's not what that's for.
Bottom line is, depending on your moral compass, right is right and wrong is wrong, and to try to rationalize it and say, but God is going to forgive me. If you feel like it's something that God needs to forgive you for and you're making a conscious decision to do it, you kind of being a hypocrite. Like, no, like that's not how it works. I know when I'm not pleasing God. Like I know, well, I shouldn't say I always know. Sometimes I realize after the fact. But a lot of times I know when I do something that, you know what, this is not Christian-like.
Yeah.
And I will sometimes say, and you know, there's going to be somebody that has a problem with it. But sometimes I put Jesus in the corner for a minute because I know I'm finna act out of pocket and out of character for a Christian person.
There's just some activities that you're not supposed to talk about God and do the same
But I'm not going to plan to do something wrong and then at least openly say to people, but God is going to forgive me. If I'm doing something wrong, I just be like, okay, I know God ain't pleased with me right now. I'm just
like, don't do what I did.
Yeah, like, yeah. But I'm not going to try to pretend like, you know, by definition of, from the Christian faith, this is the only standpoint we're coming from. By definition, there is no such thing as God won't forgive you for something. The only unforgivable sin is like to deny the existence of God. Like other than that, if you're a Christian person and you're practicing Christian, there's nothing that's going to turn God away from you. But like, just leave that. Like, she shouldn't even brought it up.
I feel like there's just certain things that, like, it's not within the same conversation.
Yeah.
Like, you can do your own, do your big one and make your 43 mil. Congratulations. Because I wish I had 43
like, you're
mil.
a heck of a businesswoman to make $43 million.
Would I do what you do to make 43 mil?
No, I would not. I would not. It's just, everything is not for everybody, but yeah.
I would feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But if you want to do that to make $43 million, do you, sis?
See, because that falls into the category of, I wish I wasn't a Christian so I could go on make them 43 million. That's how I see that. Like, there's times when I see people doing stuff that I know is absolutely wrong, but it's paying off for them. And I say to myself, ooh, I tell people all the time, if I wasn't a Christian, if I didn't believe in God, honey, I'd have plenty of money because I like whatever I'm gonna do. If, like they say, if you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly. If I was going to step outside of my Christian faith, I'd be making me some money because I would be the best at whatever it was I was doing.
I just think that don't just say God and whoopsie. Yeah. Like you can't say whoopsies and then be like, put God though.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
Yeah, and for everybody that's telling us we're being judgmental, we absolutely are, and we're being judgmental. I'm being judgmental based on my understanding of Christianity. If you got a different understanding, you're welcome to that.
I'm not being judgmental in terms of her being an OnlyFans model. I'm being judgmental in terms of her trying to talk about God.
Her trying to make it seem like it's okay.
Like I feel like that would be like being in a strip club and deciding to open up your Bible and start praying.
Which like, you could, in theory, you could do.
You could do, but it just
But the question would be why here? Like, why here? Like, yeah, you can pretty much do anything you want to and be forgiven by God or do anything that you want to and should not be judged in a certain kind of way. But like you said, if I'm going to read the Bible, the library or at home is a much better place than a strip club.
There's certain things that just don't make sense. Or like you wouldn't cuss somebody out in church. We shouldn't cuss people out in church.
Okay, because I would. I ain't going to lie. See, this is how... Catch me wrong, and you might get told something in church. But I'm not going to say that it's okay. Like, I'm not going to say that it's okay to do. But me being me, you catch me wrong, you might get told something in church.
Some things don't go together.
Some things you should not do. I should not curse somebody out in church, but try it if you want to in church. You might get it.
I'm not condoning cussing somebody out in church.
Me either, but I'm just saying, I'm being honest about me. You might.
I would go a step outside of church and then proceed to cuss somebody
if I got time. I'm being honest. I'm being completely honest.
What situation would you need to cuss somebody out in church?
People do stuff.
No, I'm going outside.
I'm being honest. If I got time, but you might catch me wrong, and I might have to tell you right where I'm sitting.
Because it would be just my luck. I start cussing somebody out in church. A lightning strikes me dead. No, I'm not playing with God like that.
I'm not playing with God either. I'm just being honest. I don't know what that circumstance might be, but I'm just saying.
This is we listen, we don't judge that moment.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Because some people, everybody that's in church ain't got church in them.
Have I laughed at a funeral before? Yes. Was it appropriate? No. But like, am I proud of it?
Well,
no. We listen, we don't judge.
Comical things can happen in serious moments.
If y'all have never been to a black funeral, you understand how easy it is to laugh at a funeral.
But I'm just saying, I'm not doing like her. I'm not planning to do anything. I'm just being honest enough to say, if the wrong thing happens, I could go off. I'm just saying. Because I'm at that stage in my life where I feel like I shouldn't have to censor myself in a certain kind of way. So, like I said,
saying being old makes it okay?
I'm saying everybody in church does not always have church in them, and some people do stuff, and they don't have respect for where they are. I'm just saying, I'm not planning it. I don't think it will happen.
Anyway,
but it could.
Anyway,
but it could.
So Ask a Gemini. If God was sitting next to you right now,
this is a holy show today.
If God was sitting next to you right now, what is the first thing that you'd ask him? Capital H on him.
There's so many things. So to pick a first thing is very, very difficult. But because of how things are socially, politically, and personally, the first thing I would ask him is, how much longer is this going to go on? Like, that would be literally the first, like, how much longer is this going to go on? And when I say this, I mean the world as it is, earth as it exists. Like, that would be my first question. Now, after that, there's a whole lot of other questions that I would ask, but that would be like, how much longer we got? That would be my first question.
I wouldn't want to know that, though.
I would.
I wouldn't want to know how much longer I have to be on Earth. Because while you're supposed to feel happy about it, I feel like I would be a little bit sad.
You'd be panicked a little bit?
No, not panicked. I wouldn't be panicked. I would be sad because I know the connections that I have on Earth might not exist. Wouldn't be, a sin.
I look at it differently. And I had this conversation one time with a group of students when they were like, it was during the Y2K thing when everybody was like not knowing how
before I was alive.
Like before you were alive, like during the Y2K thing, and they were like, we got into the conversation of the world and whatever and stuff from a Christian perspective. This is solely from a Christian perspective. We are not trying to disrespect other religions. I don't know I don't know anything about any other religion. So I was saying, they were saying, oh, I don't want, the world to end, whatever and stuff, because I want to graduate. And I understood it. I'm an adult. They're young. I understood it. But in theory, if you read the Bible and interpreted it the way I did, which not everybody does, and I respect that, you're supposed to be looking forward to the end, because if you are a Christian, the end means the beginning for you. Now, if you don't interpret the Bible that way, if that's not how you read it, maybe not. But if you're truly a Christian, the relationships that you got now, the people, the relationships that you have here on earth, what's on the other side is supposed to be so much better. So like if you're reading the Bible and you're interpreting it the way I'm going to say the way I interpret it, not the way, I'm not going to try to assume that I know what I'm talking about, because maybe I don't. But if you interpret it the way that I interpret it, what's on the other side of this end is a wonderful and better beginning. So, like, I would want to know how much longer I got to wait, because I'm ready.
See, the thing that confuses me is that you're not supposed to have, like, romantic relationships in heaven.
And I get that. And see, when I was young,
somebody that's young and in love, I'm like,
when I was young, I would have thought that. And I've questioned that all my life. What you mean there's not going to be husband and wife? Like, how that's going to work? Like, how are we going to not be people in the same sense that we're people now? I don't know what it is, and I guess because I'm divorced and all of them justice is gone, I don't care. I'm ready. Because I'm
just like, so ready. Are we all gonna be on the same? We just like all love each other in some like not weird. Weird is the wrong word.
I
but
think
like
it
weird
might
way.
be a agape situation where it's unconditional love, like in a certain kind of way. I don't know. But based on what's going on over here, I'm ready to see what's over there. Like see what happens. I don't know. But that would be the first thing I would want to know is how much, like when is that? Now I'm sure I would not get that answer because like you're not supposed to get that answer. But like that's the first question I would ask. What would you ask?
I think that I would ask why seemingly so many good people have to suffer.
And see, that was my second choice. I was the opposite. Why do bad people seem to keep winning lately?
I don't see bad people winning.
I see bad people winning.
In the grand scheme of things, because I
feel not in the grand scheme of things.
Because I feel like bad people are they're gonna get their karma if it's not immediate later. Yeah. But why do
now we just mixed two religions when you said karma? We know people that karma is not a part of the Christian religion. We don't need y'all to come in the comments telling us that. We know. But
I feel like, why do good people, in terms of like people that are involved in wars, like why are children in the Middle East having to suffer right now? They don't have anything to do with the historical implications of whoever did whatever, but they're having to suffer and like run for their lives and lose their families.
I think about stuff like that kind of on a regular basis.
Why do refugees from different countries have to, like, why is it just not simple that if you're a good person, you get good things, and if you're a bad person, you get bad things, or you just go off somewhere?
I'm not God, but I can answer that a little bit, because by the definition of good is different for different people. So, like, define good, because there's some people that would think you and I are good people, and there's some people they're not.
I'm talking about like innocence, like children.
Yeah,
I feel like all children are inherently good in a certain type of way.
Yeah and no.
I think all children are inherently good, and then something happens to make them turn into whatever they turn into as adults.
And see, this is a way too deep of a conversation for a podcast, but that gets into predestination. Like if you say that kids are good and then something happens, that's one way to look at it. But then there's some people that would believe that you're predetermined to be whoever you are from birth.
But then that goes into the concept of, do you really have free will or not? Because if you're predetermined to be who you are supposed to be, then do you have free will to make any choices in your life if you already have that?
Here's how I argue that, because somebody asked that one time. Child, I think I'm a whole philosopher. Somebody asked that one time, and my answer to that was, just because God knows what you're going to do does not mean he makes you do it. So like predestination to me means that God knows ultimately what's going to happen with everybody for everybody, but it doesn't mean that he's making them do it. So it's kind of like I know certain things, or I assume that I know. God actually knows, but I assume that I know certain things that you're going to do. That doesn't mean that I made you do it in a certain kind of way.
So you're not going to understand this reference, so prepare yourself.
Okay.
But so for the anime fans that watch the Attack on Titan,
goodness.
It's almost like how Eren Yeager knew at a certain point what all of his friends were going to do, and then they still made their choices. He just knew everything that had to happen in order for everything to happen in the end.
Yeah, it's kind of that. Like,
but to me, it's just like it goes into. It's almost like obviously sci-fi. I feel like it's based on different religions and largely based on Christianity. It's almost like the concept of the multiverse in Marvel, where it's just like, yes, there are like Doctor Strange and Infinity War, I think, saying like there's a whatever million different choices that can be made, and there's only one outcome where we win. And it's just like. But, like, how do you wrap your head around that? If
you could do that, and that's the thing, that you're not God. And that's an argument that I have had with non-Christian people and trying to tell me, there's no such thing as God because da-da-da-da. Well, you believe whatever you want to believe. I'm going to keep believing what I believe. But I have always, and I finally, like, reconciled that with myself. Just because God knows all does not mean that he is controlling your choices. If I see my child walking up to a stove and about to put his hand on the stove, and I already know you touch that stove, you're going to get burned. Me knowing that is not what made you do that. I just knew. Like, there's certain things that we will never, ever understand. And when I took one of my classes at USF, I think it was acquisition of knowledge. It was an honors class that I, quickly decided that I should not be in. But acquisition of knowledge, there was this thing where they said, if God is God, he is not good. And if God is good, he is not God, because of all of the negative things that happen with people. Some people look at it that way. But the way it was explained to us in that class was, if you as a human being, let's just say you as a human being are God, and there you own a fish that you dearly love, and the fish is under your care. It's God, it's under your care. No matter how much you love that fish, no matter how much you know what is best for that fish, you can't communicate that to that fish, because that fish is incapable of understanding what it is that you're trying to communicate. You knowing does not allow for you to be able to communicate it to the fish. Does not mean that y'all can't be in relationship. You can't be the owner, whatever stuff. But like, if we could understand God, he wouldn't be God. Like, if you got to think about that, like, that's one of the heaviest things I ever heard. If you could understand God, then he would not be God. That would make you also God too. So like, I just leave stuff like that alone. But anyway, healthy is, if you're a part of any religion, to question your own religion. Yeah, and you need to question. If you don't, then if it doesn't stand up to question, it is not worth being a part of. So like, if people question me about God and stuff, or Christianity or whatever, I don't get mad and all upset. I believe what I believe. I think how I think, but you asking me questions should not make me mad at you. My job is to represent God as best I can, and then you do what you want to with it after I'm done. Well, that's it. And with that, we say amen. I'm just kidding. But Gemini Gems, would you like to go first? No, I want you to go first. Okay. So if you're someone like me that has like itchy, I forget what it's called, when you have a lot of dandruff, there's a word for it. There's a specific word that I'm thinking of, but I can't think of it. But if you have a scalp that tends to get dandruff very easily, dry skin, I have eczema, so like my whole skin situation is very dry. You can pre-treat your scalp with vinegar before you shampoo, and that will help kind of de-dandruffify your hair. Oh, de-dandruffify. Rejoicify, like Ariana Grande said. But it'll help
get the dandruff out of your hair and make it a little bit cleaner if you're someone that suffers from very dry, flaky skin.
Yeah, loosen the dandruff first, and then apple cider vinegar I think works better than white vinegar, but I think either one of them would work. But yeah, it does help with it was all scalp hair oriented stuff. So if you do have that itchy scalp, a lot of people don't know Listerine is an antiseptic. You can put Listerine on your scalp and it will help with itchy scalp. Also Seabreeze, Listerine or Seabreeze. Seabreeze and Listerine, if you got a nick or a cut or like you've been like scratching, it will tingle. So be careful. But it is, both of them are antiseptics. And if you got an itchy scalp, if you are somebody you don't want to like just dump it on your head, put it on a Q-tip and just put it on a specific spot. Or if you want to actually put it on your whole scalp, you can like, a little cap full, pour it on there while you're in the shower or whatever and stuff. But it does. Yeah, I had forgot my Gemini gem. That's all. I should have go first.
Senior moments around here, folks.
Hey, easy.
Well, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Period.